Old Men Stories. The sun rises. Clay Campbell. Toastmasters. Kentucky Opry.
Clay and I are old buddies from last year, the year before last,
2 years ago.
and last year he was in the hospital when I was here, just recovering, and didn't make it, and I didn't see him. But I have sort of watched Clay from afar and sort of keep track of him as he's moving along in his life. And one of the things that I envy on what you do is how you market your Kentucky Opry. I am just, everyone knows about it. I go around the country and people know around. Yes, I was down in Okeechobee and the lake there and met some people. Oh yeah, Clay Campbell, yeah, Kentucky, yeah. Man, I says, well, I know him. But what I want to know about it is, when you started marketing, you had to do a lot of stuff, newspapers and stuff like that, and going on. What is the difference that you find now?
I got started selling advertising in 1983, doing phone book advertising, and calling on business owners to sell phone book advertising. Then I quit that after about 5 or 6 years when we moved down here, and I started a little paper called the Ad Sheet. A little ad sheet, the neat sheet, the hard to beat sheet. It was a really cute little paper, and it was with coupons, and everybody loved it. And then a few years later, 5 years later, I sold that. And I've sold billboard advertising. I've got several billboards in Marshall County. And about 2000, year 2000, I went to work in the radio industry and changed industries. I've always had one of the reasons that Opry is successful is because I've had a daytime job. And so I started at the radio station, and the general manager there handed me a book called The Wizard of Ads. And I had heard it advertised on the radio, and it was about how to write ad copy for your advertising if you're a small business owner to get better results. And I was very intrigued with that. And Roy Williams wrote 3 bestsellers on the New York Times, Wall Street Journal bestseller list for business owners. The Wizard of Ads, The Secret Formula of the Wizard of Ads, and The Magic World of the Wizard of Ads. I read those 3 books, and I became very enthralled with the idea of being a better radio consultant and writing better copy for my Kentucky Opry. A year later, I went down to Austin, Texas to take a course at the Wizard Academy called How to Be a Better Writer, I think is how to write better, something like that, copywriting course. And then Jamie Futrell at the radio station encouraged me to write a book. So I wrote the book, and I continued to work in advertising for 2 or 3 more years, and then I retired from the radio station and became a consultant, an advertising consultant. So my purpose of doing that was to be able to write better copy for the radio station for customers, but also selfishly to write better advertising for the Kentucky Opry. So I've always been a marketing kind of a person. When I first started the Kentucky Opry, we went into a cornfield, and I leased some land from a farmer. We put up a great big billboard. The first couple of months we were open, and I walked into a little restaurant there, and there was 5 or 6 old boys around the table, and they were smoking cigarettes, and they had their baseball caps, you know, older guys you do stories about, old men's stories. And they were telling these old men's stories. And I walked past on the way out, and one of them said, "Hey Campbell, I think you're going to do really well at that Kentucky Opry." I said, "Oh really? What makes you think that?" He said, "Well, I saw you and a couple people putting up a billboard sign last Saturday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning." He said, "Anybody that will get out and get off their butts and go to work at 6 a.m. and put up a billboard, they're bound to make it." So I had an attitude of, right from the get-go, that I would have some long-term thinking, and we put up billboards, and we did a lot of things that were unorthodox, kind of out of the box thinking. And I think probably my company, Kentucky Opry, is one of the best branded businesses that there is for a town this size, for a person having a little bitty, teeny, tiny budget for advertising. We have just a little bitty, Roland, just a little bitty budget. I wrote a book called How to Advertise on a Small Budget, on a Shoestring Budget. And so I gave away a lot of the secrets that I had in that book. How long do you want me to keep talking? I can do this for a long time. I can do this for a long time. What other questions have you got?
What do you do now that's different?
Well, today we negotiated to bring in Kenny Rogers.
Ooh.
And that's the most money that I have ever paid for an act. And I believe that we'll sell out. But you got to be really careful about doing things like that, because you can sell out the venue and still lose money. So you got to be really careful. And I book a lot of big concerts into the Carson Center and concerts at the Opry. And we're doing a traveling show where I'm taking the Rockabilly Revival that we produce to other venues. And so this year, 2013, I'll do about 18 concerts, and next year we're planning about 25. And so I enjoy that a lot, and all that helps promote the Kentucky Opry. Because every time we go do a concert, we got a big banner there, and we talk about the Opry, and we get people to sign up for our mailing list. That's one of the secrets that I think that we've had. Is I got a huge mailing list. I've got about 13 or 14,000 people on my mailing list. And those are people that have been to the Opry and been to a function, or been to the Carson Center, and they have requested that they get information from us, so it's not spam or junk mail. It's something that they're interested in having. They're interested in having the schedule of what's coming to the Opry, so they look forward to getting it. And we got an excellent open rate. We got a wonderful newsletter that we use, and so there's like, if you want to be successful in a business and marketing, it's like fishing. If you have a boat and you're fishing on Kentucky Lake and you have one pole in the water, and I'm fishing over here in a boat in Kentucky Lake, and I have 10 poles in the water, I will catch more fish than you do every time. Even though I'm not a very good fisherman. You might be a more professional fisherman, and you might be more experienced and have better bait and better pole and a better boat and a better fish finder, but with 10 poles in the water, I will catch more fish than you do. So the poles in the water for a business and marketing that business is the difference between the business succeeding and failing. I have never, ever, ever seen a business fail from reaching the wrong people. I've seen many businesses fail because of saying the wrong things in their ads. So we try to say the right things, and we try to have enough holes in the water to catch the fish. Now you should ask me, what do the poles in the water represent?
What do the poles in the water represent?
We got a good looking brochure. We got a really good looking website. We have an email newsletter. We have a phone call newsletter. We have a newsletter that goes out by the phone call for people who don't have email. We have concerts. We have radio ads. We have, let's see, what's something else that we do that is a little bit unorthodox. We have in-house season pass holders, and every year I give each one of them about $1,000 worth of free passes.
Wow.
And I tell them, listen, every time you meet somebody or you go to lunch somewhere and you ask them if they've ever been to the Kentucky Opry, they're our best advertising. And you see somebody or meet somebody that's never been to the Opry, you hand them a ticket and say, Mr. Campbell asked me to give you a free ticket so you can come see the show and get a free sample. So that's some of the things that I do.
Thank you. That is an interview with Clay Campbell, Kentucky Opry.
Old men rule.
All Men Stories, one more day. Clay Campbell to market Kentucky Opry.